My name is Gary Gibson. I'm a professional science fiction writer. I've been writing for maybe 20 years or more. I've been writing books for slightly more than 10 years, published for slightly less than that. When I was a kid, my dad was a journalist. My family were all journalists, and my dad in particular, working in the Glasgow newspaper, shared a desk with the book reviewer, and all the science fiction books that came through never got reviewed. They went straight to me and my brother. So I tended to just angle straight for those, and they just had this promise of this wonderful future of things that could be, imagined. It seemed so much more interesting than what seemed like a fairly grey childhood in Scotland and Glasgow in the 1970s. So I was very drawn to the colourful ideas and the concepts. It just seemed a world beyond the things I knew at the time, and it was a lifelong romance between me and the genre after that. The kind of thing I write has more to do with a sense of awe. But really, when you're dealing with things like new space opera, which is probably the bracket I fit into, that's about taking a look at the universe and thinking in very cosmic terms, quite literally cosmic terms. It's where did the universe come from, where is it going, is there an ultimate purpose? I think everything in my writing career so far has essentially been my take on the last 20 minutes of the movie 2001. It's just that whole concept of just the idea that there's some unknown strangeness out there. What could it be? What can we anticipate out there? Almost certainly we can't anticipate what might lie out there. So I'm just always trying to tap into that sense of awe and strangeness and wonder, really, of what may or may not lie out there. I think creativity is a skill you learn to get better at, like the act of putting words in the right order. I think after a while of just thinking of ideas, eventually ideas start coming to you more and more easily until you almost have too many ideas floating around in your head. So there's no real process. I think it's just that it's a process of association. Various ideas will bang about in your subconscious, and sometimes something will come together and it will float up to your conscious mind and you'll go, oh, that's a good idea. Or perhaps you read something in the newspapers or in a science article online and it will connect with something else in your head and you think those things would go together. There's a story there. You can't really define science fiction because it's really a whole bunch of literary traditions that came crashing together, and every time they crash together they merge together and create new forms. And they create new forms or merge again into other forms again. So it's very hard. You can talk about one form of science fiction and it has absolutely no relationship to something else at the other end of the spectrum. In terms of defining it, it's more like a grab bag of multiple mini genres all bagged together for commercial convenience more than anything else. But for me, it's the old cliche is sense of wonder, and I think it is about that. Science fiction is about taking elements of the world and putting them together in ways so that it seems fresh and new. I think it serves a similar purpose that surrealism did and Dadaism did. It was a deliberate attempt to shock the senses by putting things together in a way that couldn't have been anticipated, but actually might in some cases be technically possible. It was the idea that there was something more coming in the future, that tomorrow wasn't going to be the same as today. I started up a small ebook imprint where I'm reprinting books by authors I know, because I realized a while ago I knew a great deal of authors who had at their time been quite successful, but because of the nature of the publishing industry at the time they were no longer in print. But they often still had the rights to that work. There was no reason not to republish it. So I started up a small reprint label for ebooks specifically, because the costs are basically zero, called Brain in a Jar Books, which just seemed to kind of sum up what I was trying to do there. And that's been going reasonably well. We've got books out by current authors, older authors, all kinds, but the point is, it's stuff that's been out there, it's proven itself, it's been successful, and now it has a chance to be found again. I'd say so. How much did they get wrong?